With a passion for personal development and a deep understanding of image, Aga Tompkins is a celebrity hairstylist, makeup artist, certified professional beauty educator, motivational speaker, and Amika Brand Manager with more than 15 years of experience driving positive impacts in the beauty and music industries. Aga's journey began when she founded her salon, Rock Razor Scissors, and quickly scaled it from local business to a market leader by providing niche services to touring artists. Before she moved on to her next adventure, her business would serve some of the largest names in music, including Radiohead, Panic! At the Disco, Fall Out Boy, Deftones, and Roger Waters. This experience opened the door to celebrity image development, and Aga fell in love with building and managing strategic brand images for some of the largest names in music. She served as Carly Rae Jepsen's global tour hairstylist and makeup artist for nearly a decade, expertly seizing the opportunity to build and manage a strategic brand and image for the Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter and actor. She designed hair and makeup for Jepsen's appearances on and in SNL, The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, Cosmopolitan, Allure, and the New York Times. More importantly, Aga drew on both her passion for style and commitment to authenticity to design the long-term strategy and direction for the artist's image. In doing so, she considered Jepsen's personality alongside upcoming trends. Most recently, Aga demonstrated her love of motivation, training, and growth to teach image, authenticity, and beauty as a territory brand manager for Amika, while continuing to tour the world as a guest speaker in the industry. At Amika, Aga has the opportunity to onboard, train, and mentor a sales team, as well as her clients' employees across an 11-state territory. In addition to managing everything from onboarding and training to mentoring and employee engagement, she creates content, designs innovative social media posts, and serves on the DEI and Giving Back Committee as a co-lead for their partnership with Beauty Changes Lives. Whether she's traveling the country, educating about beauty and authenticity, or training team members to create a solid culture of growth and success, Aga applies her passion for professional development, understanding of image, and commitment to excellence to everything she does. Aga, welcome to the Volume Up podcast. It is a thrill to have you. How's it going?
Good. I'm really excited to be here. I've been waiting to do this, so it's finally the day.
It is finally the day. We're going to get right into it. Aga, our guests come to beauty from all different places. I would love to hear from you. How did you get into the beauty industry?
So I actually started as like an artist as a kid. You know, I was that kid. I was the art kid. I think a lot of us in the beauty industry started that way or had passion for art in the first place. And so since I was a kid, I was doing art. And then like when I was a little older, I got into makeup and, you know, doing my own makeup. And then my friends would be like, can you do my makeup? And then, you know, it was the 90s. So that short bob, bleached bob was in, and my friends in like 7th and 8th grade were like, will you box color my hair? You know, so it kind of just happened to me naturally. I think my friends and everybody around me was like, do mine, you're artistic. Like you can do this, right? And I did. I don't know. I guess I wasn't scared and did it.
That's amazing. Did you always think you'd go into hair?
So no, it was kind of like, first of all, I wanted to be a plastic surgeon. That was like, if you asked me in 5th grade what I was going to do, at first it was like doctor, which no chance. Like I wasn't going to go to school for that long, but then I decided like, I can't just be a doctor. Like I have to do art. I was like, plastic surgery. Perfect. I will make people beautiful and be a doctor that way. And then I actually in high school worked for a dentist office and realized like, I don't want to be in the medical field, you know? So that kind of like went away and I didn't know what I was going to do, but you know, like most hairstylists or a lot of hairstylists, I would say their family's like, you're not going to be a hairstylist. Like you need to go to college or whatever. Like, you got to do something else. And I'm foreign. So my family was like, you know, it's like what lawyer, doctor, like whatever. And clearly, I mean, I guess I could have been a doctor still. I probably would have been like the tattoo doctor lady, but
it's never too late.
I think there's plenty now, but maybe back then I still wanted to express myself. I was into fashion and I still always kind of did hair for my friends, like for fun, like never made money doing it or something, but they would ask me. So through my entire, like, till I finally opened my salon, it was just something that I was intrigued by. And then I would do like makeup and stuff, which obviously you didn't have to be licensed to do. So I would like do people's makeup here and there. And I think one of the turning points was, well, I got into business. I realized I like business. So I kind of let it go. You know, it was one of those things where I was like, well, I'm not going to be a hairstylist. But I still love the beauty industry, whatever. And I moved to LA. I live in Chicago, but I moved to LA, and I had a friend out there that owned like a really cool rock and roll salon. And it was on Melrose, and I was obsessed, and she was amazing. And I got my hair done there. You know, you needed to get your hair done still, like if you move somewhere, and that was where I got my hair done. But then she would ask me sometimes to like do things like assist. And she knew I was, you know, kind of savvy in the beauty world, but knew that I wasn't licensed. And one of the first gigs that I ever got was actually through my friend Kazi. There was a TV show called Rockstar Supernova, and they were like finding like a lead singer. It was a reality show essentially. Sure. And we were doing the album cover for it, and she had her assistant or whoever like call off, and she's like, Aga, can you do it? So I last minute went and did this shoot. I didn't do anybody's like hair or makeup, but I was like touching up, like on set, I would like powder their nose or like fix their hair a little bit. So it's Tommy Lee, Gilby Clarke, and Jason Newsted from Metallica. So it was those guys. And I'm like, I think I was 21 or 22 at that time.
Wow.
And I made it a good amount of money for the day. I don't remember. It was like $400. It was, for me then, I was like, this is awesome. Like, yes. And so I was like, I want to do this. And I ended up moving back to Chicago. And yeah, like that's kind of how I got into beauty. So that was that.
Oh, I love that. You sort of touched on this. You opened a salon, but you opened a salon before you were a licensed Cosmo. What?
Yes.
Talk to me about, how did this come about?
So I moved back. During that whole time, I worked for, I'm sure people know this, and this is funny. I worked for Journey Shoes as like a district manager person, right? So I ran all the Chicago stores out here when I lived in Chicago. Then I moved to LA, did that there, then I moved back. But I like business. So I learned, you know, I was like running all these stores, all these managers. I was the manager of these managers. And I mean, when they give you one of these stores, even though it's like retail and it's like a corporation, you still do all like the plumbing breaks, you're calling the plumber. And, you know, you still did numbers and all of these things. And I realized I have like a passion for even math, which I would have never thought in like 100 years. If you asked me in high school, I would have been like, ew, hate math. I liked geometry though. I did. And
which makes sense now.
Yep. Yes. Yes. But so I actually, one day I was saving money because I was going to open my own business. It was like my thought process at that point. I was probably 22, 23. And finally I was like, I'm going to open a salon. Like this makes sense. And my friend Kazi's salon was such an inspiration to me. I called Kazi and was like, can I have your blessing if I want to open a rock and roll salon in Chicago? And she was like, absolutely. And so I had stylists that worked for me at Journeys that like were in beauty school while they worked at Journeys. Yep. And I called one of them up and was like, I'm going to open a rock and roll salon. Would you work for me? At this point, she was already a stylist. She worked at a really great salon in Chicago. And she was like, absolutely. So I just gathered, there wasn't anything, this is like 2008 at this time. There wasn't really like how we have Vivids now and all of that. It was like, you might know one stylist. Yeah. There wasn't like a salon necessarily. Actually, I take that back. There was one salon in Chicago called Melio's. It's like one of the oldest like punk rock salons that exists, I think. That salon existed, but it was like one, you know? And so I was like, I want to open kind of like a version of what my friend Kazi has, but out here a little different, a little the same. And so I was like, we're going to have this niche. And it was during the recession. So I knew like, I couldn't just open a salon. It had to have something that would draw people. This was during the era of MySpace. So I was like,
it's all coming together for me. You're really painting a picture. I'm loving
I was like, and I was, you know, business savvy. So I was like, I got to do this, this, and this. And I was excited. Like, I don't know how I did it. Looking back now, I put my entire life on the line. I with Journeys, I put in like, you know, I gave them like 2 months maybe notice, because I was like, I'm starting it up, and they were totally supportive. So they like supported me through that journey. And I had like saved up 6 weeks paid vacation, like all this stuff to like open this business. And I had money saved too, but like I was like planning for like everything. And then I opened this rock and roll salon. We were specializing in doing hair for bands, doing hair for music videos. Like I hooked up with the local, like record labels in Chicago, and I would email them and say, hey, if you need people to come out, I own the salon. That's what we do. Then eventually, you know, I realized like, you need to do hair. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And I ended up, so my stylists were there through it all. And I did makeup and stuff. So sometimes if somebody came in, but mostly I just ran the business, which looking back, now that, you know, I am a hairstylist, I would say we're so busy. I don't know if I could have done what I did if I was doing both, like at that time.
Yeah.
So I think because I could focus on sending all those emails, adding all those people on MySpace to come to check out our rock and roll salon, like doing all the marketing, like the business end of everything, that by the time I did go to beauty school, it was running on its own. And I would go to school and then come to the salon and go to school. I did it in less than a year. So I like hustled. I like put in everything. I was like, okay. And my stylists were supportive of it. And I learned from them too, because, you know, they were talented. I hired the best talent I could at that time. You know, they were everything. And I did it reverse. I don't know. And I realized like I wanted to do it. I knew how to do hair too, like to a degree. And so it was frustrating because I was by the book. I did not do hair. I never, you know, took clients till I was licensed.
Well, I mean, what a story. Thank you for sharing that. That's such a cool way to get into this. And you've had tons of success subsequent to this, which we're going to get into. But I'm curious. So like, what then happened with the salon? You came on as a stylist at your own place and wore both hats. Like, how long did that go?
So, I mean, at that point, it was pretty easy for me. I already knew I did everything, right? So it just made sense. I mean, I took days where it was like almost like an office day and would get the supplies and do those things. Actually, all our stylists were kind of like on our social media. So it went from MySpace and then later turned into Facebook, but we had like a salon, Facebook salon, you know, MySpace, and they would message with clients on the social media, and it was just always open. So whoever sat at the desk on their break or whatever, it was like messaging with clients, booking appointments. We were kind of at that time, I would say, ahead of the game when it came to using social media for our business. But because it was such a niche, like people were coming from Wisconsin, from like different states just to get this hair. And we would post all the pictures of all those funky colors and everything. And that was what we did. It was like one of those salons where it's like 80% vivids, or, you know, just the bright colors, like leopard print hair, like the long emo. During that time it was like emo era. So we would do like the long, the scene hair. Yeah. Super, it was like the pro version of those styles, and it was pretty cool.
Incredible. Such a cool experience. How did you then transition into, I mean, it sounds like it makes total sense. You've already got celeb clientele coming in. What was the linchpin to getting into celebrity styling on your own? How did that happen? Because that's a huge part of your career, which we're going to get into. But how did you get to there? What was that jump like?
Well, at first it was like just doing hair for smaller bands, right? So I would look out and see which bands are coming through town. Even like people I hired, I would be like, what bands do you want to do hair for? Or if there's a show that you think we should do hair. And I would creep on the internet and just try to find like, how do I find somebody that knows somebody that might know somebody that's connected to the band? And I would email them. And eventually I grew my network. So it was all through networking. Absolutely. Like, and it was through credibility too, right? So like once we did a few bands, then it grew, and then we did bigger things. And then eventually, I'm sure, you know, Warped Tour, you've heard of Warped Tour. I finally like got us on Warped Tour. So we as a salon did like the Midwest of Warped Tour. And because Warped Tour is so weird, it would be like, you know, they're in Chicago one day and they're in California tomorrow, and it made no sense. So they would come around like so many times into the Midwest through that entire summer that we just randomly would have Warped Tour dates like in different, like in Indianapolis or wherever, right? And it was kind of rad. So Warped Tour has like 70 bands. So now I made connections with like 70 tour managers, you know, not literally, but whoever we did band hair for, and it might be crew or bands or whatever. And sometimes we'd take anybody. So you wouldn't even realize, and like somebody would sit in your chair from like Alkaline Trio, and you're like, okay, we're doing Alkaline Trio's hair right now. And my team was so great. They really, I don't know, they all were awesome. I mean, when I would interview, I would test them, like whoever I interviewed, and I'd be like, what's your favorite band? And they would name some band, and I'd be like, what if I told you we're going tomorrow and we're going to go do their hair? And I would watch the reactions, and sometimes people would like freak out, like actually in the moment. I'm like, we're not even doing this band's hair, first of all. Like that's not even happening. Second of all, like you're sweating and crying right now. Like this might not work out for you because there's a high chance we might be able to do that band's hair. So it was more, and then I would have other people like just be so cool about it that worked for me. That would be like, that would be really rad. And I was like, you're hired. Like, that's all I wanted. It was just calmness so that I knew you can, you know, you can do it because you're also cutting somebody's hair. Like you don't want to mess that up. So if you're really nervous, you might be like,
shaking hands,
like, no
not a good look. So then how did you, I'm assuming perhaps along the Warped Tour trail, a Ms. Carly Rae Jepsen, with whom you've worked quite a lot. How did that happen?
Okay, so I'll go back to that. So during the salon days, it grew, and actually at Warped Tour, I met the director of Live Nation. He was there that day at one of the last Warped Tours we ended up doing with the salon. And he was like, where have you been my whole life? I've been looking for somebody like you because when bands come through town, I need exactly this. And he took my information, and that, at that point, it became one of those things where that's when we got the Roger Waters, The Wall tour. That's when we got the big, like Blink 182 and like all those big things. It changed my life and all of our lives. Like I remember Roger Waters, The Wall, like my entire stylist team got to bring their parents. My parents didn't care. They're foreign, you know, they were like, I don't know who this is. But all their families got to go. And like, it was just awesome. It was like one of those moments we had like best seats in the house, and we just did hair for this kind of like that. And then, you know, like the B-52s or like whatever. And so once we kind of grew that network, I just kept growing it. I just kept like making friends with people. And maybe it was like just being a genuine person and I had something that these people needed and wanted. They needed haircuts, and they had crews and bands that needed to look good. And I was able to provide that, but also I just made fast friends with all these people because they're traveling and they come back to the same cities a lot. And so eventually what happened, how I got Carly was actually a friend from a different tour knew Carly, and Carly, you know, just blew up with Call Me Maybe. And she was her assistant at the time. And she was like, I have the perfect person to go on tour with you, because they needed somebody that did hair and makeup. Yeah. So, and that was it. And then I just got on a flight. I think my I take that back. First show was actually in Chicago. I only just got a chance to meet her, and it was like a hello, but then they put me on a plane the next like week, and I flew to Houston, and I met my whole tour family, which now looking back, it was such a fun night. We went bowling and everything like after the show, and they're like my family now. I toured with Carly for over a decade. So just everybody is incredible. Yeah.
I mean, a decade. How this is so cool. That is so cool. Let's talk about, I mean, this was not like a minute. So longevity, like how did you secure this for yourself? What was that relationship building like? I mean, you mentioned like a lot of people were getting nervous by even the idea of it. You're presented with the actuality, like you are working with her, doing hair and makeup day in, day out for all of these venues all around the US and the world. Talk to us about what that experience was like.
Honestly, I don't even know. Like I jumped in and that was it. And it was like, it's like your client. Like if you have a client that you're just like really tight with, and then they become like one of your best friends in the world. So I look at it like with Carly, especially, I mean, you know, and I've done hair for a lot of other people, even in between those years, but we clicked and I did my job and I was the only one from the beauty industry on our crew, but yeah, it was fun. You got to pick different looks. Like I changed Carly's hair completely.
I was going to say, can we talk about that? She's gone through such an evolution. And obviously like with different albums, there's been different looks. I mean, how architecting that with her, what was that like? Like these are big changes that she's made.
She's amazing. Like she's the one, you know, I did the work, but like, of course it was like Carly being like, I remember the first time I chopped all of her hair off and she just had like long brown hair when I met her with the bangs. And then I'm a bangs specialist. So it was like, I immediately was like, I want to do things to these bangs. Like, but she let me, I was like, listen, can I chop it up a little bit? Can I do this? She's like, do whatever. She's super cool about that. Like, I don't know that I love that about her. She's had different hair more than anybody I think I know. And I would say the one time, we were like out of the country and I did not have black hair color. And she's like, I want to do black tonight and cut it short. And I had to like through my tour manager, you know, we found somebody from the label from like Interscope that knew somebody that owned a salon and they had color in the salon, like took me to some salon. And like, I was like, luckily it's black. Like you can't really mess that up. Like there's no way. Like, we're just going black, right? Easy. Yep. And so it was just a lot of fun times like that. Where she's very spontaneous. So.
Okay, well, with the exception of like these tectonic shifts to her look, which you were working with, what does a day-to-day look like? I mean, you mentioned like you're working through the label to maybe get like, talk to us about that, because I can't imagine that many of our listeners have had that experience of being like a tour stylist.
So it's the music industry. So it's obviously a different industry in general. The biggest part of being a tour hairstylist is travel. Like, I mean, we just travel. I've done hair on every continent aside from Antarctica. So it's like one planet, but this many countries, like 30, I don't know, you know, and so it's just travel is the biggest part of it. And also like being organized and knowing which supplies you need. And I don't know, it's like a little circus, I would say. Just like you live with this little family. It's like, you know, 15 of us or so, give or take, sometimes less, sometimes more. And we all were together all these years. And it was just like, I had my home family and then I had my tour family, and we would have slow moments where, you know, you just where it's like sit and wait. Like a lot of people think tour life's all this like wild craziness. There's a lot of sitting at venues and whatever and playing Catan, because Carly loves Catan. I dodged Catan. By the way, this is like a board game.
Yep.
I don't think I ever thought I'd be like maybe Monopoly, you know, like maybe I
Sure.
Yeah. But here I am like obsessed with Catan now. And that's Carly's Canadian, so she likes fun, obviously. I don't know, but yeah, we have moments where we just sit around and play Catan or whatever. But then there's, of course, like morning radio or red carpets or all these other things that we do, or like maybe festival season where you're flying, it's all fly dates, you fly everywhere. And then there's other times where it's like bus tours. So let's say, you know, we're doing a full US run. We'll be on the bus the whole time. And there's perks to both. Living on the bus is nice because you don't have to worry about your luggage at all. It's just always there. Fly tours are fun because you get to go to other countries and do other stuff. So it's amazing. And obviously depending on who you're touring with would change what it is. And I was lucky enough to have like the most amazing tour family ever. And Carly's incredible. And it trickles down from that person, I believe, you know, just like any job. Actually, think about it that way. Like if you have a boss anywhere, which it's weird to think that Carly's my boss. She was, but like not, you know, she doesn't, she's a powerhouse for sure. And she runs the show and she does all the things. She's so incredible. Writes the music, does everything, but at the same time, like she treated everybody, you know, like we all knew what we were doing. Like, it's almost like, she's like, you guys are here for a reason. You know your job, like do your job.
Well, to that end, what were the things that you had to have with you as a hairstylist on tour? Like, you're the master of your domain. What are the things that are packed in that bag that you're like, I would not be able to get through a tour without these things? I want to know.
So the big thing is my luggage. Like I actually have a big Burton, like I believe it's skiing or like snowboarding brand suitcase. And it has those like skateboard wheels on it where I can like lug that.
Gotta go. Yep.
Yeah. And it unzips where you can like actually split it into 2 bags. But I would have this like 70 to 80 pound bag with me at all times of just hair and makeup. And so I might consider myself an overpacker, you know, but
gotta be prepared.
Sorry. Yeah. I'm always prepared. And not to mention, like I did do both. So I did hair and makeup. So I needed it all. And you never know. Carly might want to go blonde or black hair. You know what? I'm just kidding. I didn't have all that. I would kind of prepare. She would always prepare me usually like, we will do color, we'll do this. So I did do haircut, hair color, hairstyling, makeup, everything, skincare. Like I did all of it. Even I would paint her nails sometimes. I talk about that when I do a lot of speaking at beauty schools, and I'll tell them like, go do those pedicures, like do everything, because I have to be honest, I never thought I'd do nails. Not that I do nails, I do my own. But
for the listeners who are not watching this video, if it doesn't make it into a clip, the nails are dope. So that's great.
Thank you. Yeah. See, it worked out. Yep. But I would say that, I had everything, even down to that stuff. But I would even carry a couple things that maybe like her stylist or assistant might have, just in case. Like, what if we don't have it? I would have a little kit of like a backup, because I'm, again, very organized and like I need it all. But I would have my shears, you know, I would have blow dryer, straighteners, all my curling tools, all the hair products you'd ever need, color, extensions, just in case, like a little bit of everything. And then obviously with makeup, just like all makeup you can imagine. And so even down to like nail trimmers. And so you got to be really like prepared for anything that you might need to do. And I would have a separate bag inside my bag that I would take out. And it was just this little smaller bag that I could bring on set. And then I would have that if we were doing on set stuff. But in the venues, you know, I would just plop my giant bag open right in our dressing rooms, wherever we were. So it was just like part of our life. We just like lived in chaos, and it was awesome. I do love that Carly is just like me, and we just like lived to our fullest without stressing about anything. And you know, you'd pack that sucker back. I'd throw stuff back in it. So this bag was life. And then I had my own personal bag too. So I was carrying 2 bags at all times. Yeah.
Wow. What is the like one lesson, or maybe there's a couple that you learned from that experience? Because we're going to talk about like, there's been a transition, you're no longer touring, but like from this experience, which again, you mentioned it's a decade, that's a huge amount of time, tons of shows. Like, what are the lessons that you learned from that experience that you're like taking forward now?
You know what? I was lucky enough to travel the whole world. So there was definitely like cultural experience, and just, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to be able to go to so many places, and maybe even, you know, we got pampered in those places. So you got to kind of like learn from people that could translate for us or take us to some of the coolest restaurants, or, you know, Carly always took care of us. We would like go climb the Eiffel Tower. I don't think we were climbing the Eiffel Tower, but you get it. We were climbing we'd climb a bridge, or like in Sydney, we'd like, I'm terrified of heights, and I like climbed the big bridge in Sydney, which I can't think, or one of the, it all mixes up. I have to like look back at my Instagram and be like, where was I? What did I do? What country was that? But all those kind of things. We went on a safari and all that. So maybe just, it taught me to live to the fullest and not be afraid to take chances. And I don't know. That's a big part of it. Yeah.
And that's a pretty important lesson. So I love that. And again, this is a good opportunity to plug your Instagram. Aga, where can people find you if they're not already following you, so that they can go and find some of these things that you're talking about?
Yeah, so it's Aga Tompkins Beauty, and it's AGATOMPKINS Beauty.
Easy. All right. So I mentioned this, which is that you've recently stopped touring. So what led to that decision? And what are you doing right now?
So I actually, I toured for a very long time. And I think it came to the point where I also never mentioned I have children. So I did all this while also being
and you're having
I have 4 kids, but 2 so 2 are actually my step kiddos, and I've been with my husband now 8 years. So they came in somewhere, like my littlest one, he was 3 when I started touring. And then I'm trying to think how old, I guess they were 5 when I met or almost 6 when I met my husband. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, so
you're blowing my mind. You're blowing my mind. That's so incredible.
From all those avenues, like so many avenues, everybody supports it. But I also feel like, and a lot of moms will ask me, like, or they'll say, like, I could never, and I have to say that, I did well in life for myself, in the sense that I could tour and then be gone a little bit of time, but then be home for like 2 months and like spend time with my kids. But I would say like my life shifted. All my kids are teenagers there. And actually the oldest one is 18 now. But so like, there's this moment where I feel like I traveled so much. I need a little step back maybe, or just something new. I'm pushing 40, and there's a part of me that is like, I'm ready maybe to make an impact in a different way somewhere else. And retiring tour was the hardest decision of my life, like calling my tour manager and telling Carly, and I cried for like weeks, and I was like still kicking myself, like, did I make a bad decision, like all these things. But Carly actually has an amazing hairstylist, makeup artist now, that I've never seen her look better. So everything happens the way it's supposed to. And but I actually reached out to one of my favorite brands in the world, and it's my favorite hair brand, Amika, and I'm sure a lot of people are a fan of Amika, not just myself. And so even during tour, I already started working with them, and that's going to be 2 years in July that I reached out to them. And then last August, I officially went full-time with Amika. So that was also very scary. Yeah, it was just a scary decision, but I feel like I can make an impact in the long run. And I you kind of take 10 steps back to go for whatever the saying is. I don't know. Do you know the saying? 2 steps back. I don't know.
Yeah. All of it.
Yeah. And so I figured I would figure it out. And I really love Amika. I love the company in every way. I think I like everything they stand for, and their products are amazing. And
which helps.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I don't know that I could have. I've never worked for a brand in that whole time. I was always independent. I never felt like I could like marry someone in like a brand. And I was like, no, I'm putting a ring on it. Like, Amika, girl, come on. But yeah, and just everybody that works for Amika, they sort of have that same, I guess I would say, like positive energy that I had on tour. And I needed that in my life for sure. So they got me. I'm there, and I love it.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. That's such a cool thing to have had these solid, positive experiences. So talk to us a little bit about this role with Amika. What does it entail? What are you up to? Because this is a big shift. So touring stylist, doing makeup and hair and all of the things, working with the brand. In what capacity? Talk to us about that.
So between tour life too, I always did education. I was an educator and I would teach classes, and do like motivational speaking and stuff like that. So with all that, like this role, a big part of it is like teaching. And when I started with them, they would fly me out to teach in salons and kind of do that stuff anyway. And it was great. It was like, I was like, I love it. And I just love ingredients and things that I'm a nerd. I'm a hair nerd. I'm actually right now in the process of becoming a board certified trichologist. So like super into, like I'm into it. It's like my life. I don't know. And so I right now for Amika, I have 11 states and I'm in charge of the brand for 11 states. And I travel around, but much less, like nowhere near tour life. And I mean, people still fangirl about the Carly life and all that, and that helps. But yeah, it's really been my passion, like business. It's going back to that business portion of who I am. And I did miss that. Like there was a part of me that just, I don't know, I needed that. I needed to think that way and work that way. And it's been great. I do Excel sheets, PowerPoint presentations, like all that.
You said that you wound up loving math. So, I mean, all of this sounds like it tracks. This is great. Well, you're exactly where you should be.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, tell me, we're going to get into our quick takes where we're going to ask you a lot more about products, but I'm curious, as someone who is working with Amika, which is beloved by millions, what is like your favorite Amika product?
So I have to talk about this one because it's called the Wizard, and it's called the Wizard for a reason. This product is like an all-in-one. If I was going to recommend one product, and if you haven't tried it in your hairstylist, like you need to try this. It has so many options. And I like to compare hair care to skincare often. So for me, heat protection, it's almost like your sunscreen for your skin, but you should have heat protection for your hair. And the Wizard has up to 450 degrees heat protection. It's a detangler. It's a primer. It speeds up your blow dry, which we all know time is money. And it gives shine. It's anti-frizz. It's lightweight. There's a silicone-free one. So like you're not playing, if somebody wants that option. The whole brand is vegan, cruelty-free, all those things. But it's just an amazing product. And you can spray it when your hair's wet, and it helps detangle and all of that jazz. So right when you take your client out of the bowl, or I even spray it in the bowl, actually, like pro tip, ready, everybody? Yeah. Keep the Wizard at the bowl right when they're in the sink, wring out their hair, towel dry it a little bit in the sink, spray it right in the sink, and then bring them to your chair. Now you have heat protection, you have detangling, all the things, shine, and everything you cocktail after that and put in there, it's a primer. So like, you're also setting it up to be ready. And it is a good cutting agent because it has a good like slip and comb through. Yeah. So get the Wizard. If you haven't tried it.
That's the one. I mean, you've sold us all. We're all adding to cart immediately.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, there's a million. I could go all day, but I'm not going to. But that, if I like had to, that's it.
That's the one. Okay. Well, we've actually run into you a few times at various hair shows throughout the US. So talk to us a little bit about that. Like, what has that experience been like? What are you doing at trade shows? Talk to us about it.
So yeah, I've been lucky enough to be involved in like random things. I was just on a panel recently, and that was amazing with like Presley Poe and Alfredo Lewis. And yeah, it's just I've been trying to get involved more and more in the beauty industry. Now that I've come from the music industry, I'm like, hey, everybody, I'm here at the party, like a little late, but I'm here. Even doing this right now, it's kind of like me, I guess, trying to get more and more involved. Even with Amika, I forgot to mention this, but I'm part of the DEI and Giving Back Committee for Amika. So I'm a co-lead on Beauty Changes Lives. So like this last show, we were at America's Beauty Show, and that was what I was doing the whole time, because we're giving out scholarships to students, and like I get to pick. Like me and my friend Julia, we're co-leads, and she's amazing. We get to pick like the people that are going to get the scholarships, and I just want to cry every time because that full circle. So that's what I did at that show, or like, it's just something I love. I mean, everybody loves shows. It's cool to see the education, all those things. And I'm very passionate about education, and I don't know, just seeing new trends. Yeah, like I said, I'm a hair nerd. But yeah, so anybody out there, I will come do things at the beauty shows.
Love that. And we're about to do some more hair nerding out because we're going to get into our quick takes. So before we let you go, we are going to ask you the questions we ask all of our guests.
Okay.
So try not to think about it for too long. We want to get your quick response. The first question: what was the first ever product that you remember owning, beauty or hair?
Actually, it's clippers. It's wall clippers.
Okay.
Would be the first like beauty product I could think of, like other than the usual things that people have in their home, but like if you're a hairstylist. And yeah, like at the time I was like in high school, and I dated a guy that had like a shaved head, and I would shave his head, but I bought them at like Walmart or like whatever. And yeah, that was, I mean, technically Wall is like a pro brand. So I would say that would be my first. I had like the little box it came in. The little plastic clips. Yes. And I had all of that. So that was like my first, like, I am a hairstylist.
Yes.
Not really.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So actually, yeah.
All right. Core memory. Love that. You painted the picture. Aga, are you superstitious? And if so, about what?
I would say I'm not, but I don't think I'm superstitious. But what's funny is I often go like cross my fingers about stuff. And then just recently, my daughter was like, "Oh, you can only cross one. Like you can't cross both fingers." And I was like, "What?" I've been crossing both fingers about everything positive that's happened in my life, which makes me less superstitious, because I'm like, I've been messing it up this whole time. So I don't think I'm superstitious. But I do some weird stuff, and I'm like, just kidding. But truly in my core.
Yeah, not. Okay. Well, we've seen it all. If you were, it's also fine, just for the record.
Yeah, I want to be. I want to be. I don't want to don't walk under the ladder. Like, throw the salt over the shoulder. I
feel like it can lead to a lot of complications for people who are overly superstitious. It's maybe not the worst thing. A little bit of superstition is probably the best way to go. A little, whatever that office quote is. Okay. Who would play you in a biopic about your life?
Gosh, I don't know. This is a hard one.
This one stumps people, so you're not alone.
Okay.
Yep. Oh, okay.
Jenna Ortega. You know, Wednesday Addams?
Yes, I can see it.
Play the much younger version of me. Then maybe for like the older version of me would be, what's her name from Fight Club? Helena something. I don't know, but people know. If they know, they know. But that's
Helena Christensen? No. That's the model.
I don't know.
No, what is her name? No. It's yes. Oh my God. What is it? Helena Bonham Carter. There we go.
Yes. Woo! Okay. So that would be like So
Yep.
Those are the two. I picked two. Sorry.
Okay. That's like really solid. And then also the like Tim Burton through line. That's an interesting angle.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I
kind of makes sense. Like if you see me, then you'll have to go lurk my Instagram. But I kind of have those. That's my mood.
I can see it. The aesthetic lines up. Okay. What do you consider to be the ultimate comfort food?
For me, it's like burritos, honestly, or anything spicy. I just need spicy. I have a spicy tooth. And so I would have to say, like, when I think of like, I'm tired and like, I'm just going to go grab a burrito and like go home and like eat that's it for me.
Burrito. Perfect. Perfect. This is our last question. So think about it, but not for too long. Say that you're on a deserted island and you can only bring 3 products. What are you bringing? And I always say this right after. Like water, shelter, food, you're good. Like you're not going to die on this island. Okay. So like, what are the products that you're bringing with you?
Oh my God, but you're not going to die.
Yeah. We just want to look our best on this island, basically. Shears?
Okay. Yeah, maybe. I feel like, because I don't know if I can ever not do that. Like I have to do that. So I would bring shears. Also, it feels like it's deserted island. Like I would be the one. I'd be the hair cutting. Like I got this.
Yeah.
Wait,
functional.
It's deserted. It's just me. Well, but I that seems weird. Is it just for me to use?
I mean, you're really getting into it.
Okay,
I'm going to say it is
sorry,
just you.
sorry,
It's just
sorry.
you. So no, but you're looking, you got to look good for yourself. So I feel like what else? Shears to keep up the fringe.
Shears, yeah, I could, thank you. Yes, I would want to keep yeah, 100%. So I'm sticking with shears.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely 1, shears. 2, I would say hairspray. Yeah, definitely hairspray. Amika's Fluxus is great.
I was going to say plug. What do we got? Yep.
I'm going to do that, but I love it and it smells good. So if,
Plus.
who knows what's out there, I might want the nice scent.
Yep.
And then, yeah, maybe, I guess, like eyeliner. Let's just say eyeliner. Yeah, liquid eyeliner.
Essential.
Yeah, an essential, obviously. Like, how am I going to survive on this island without eyeliner?
I feel that we've had some really interesting responses to that. So that one actually seems right as rain.
Okay, cool.
Aga, before we let you go, we want to make sure that you can plug yourself again for people that don't know you, but want to know more about you after listening to this podcast. Where can they go?
You can find me on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. I am just everywhere. And I would say just look up Aga Tompkins Beauty and that's where you'll find me. I'm on all the places.
All of them. Easy to do. And we are linking to everything in our show notes. So we're going to make it really easy for all of you listeners, which you know that we do. So there's that.
Yeah.
Aga, thank you so much for coming on the Volume Up podcast. It's been a blast. And come back again, please. Let's talk about lots of other things too.
We will. I would love to do that. See you guys at the next show.